All right, so everybody get seated. We're going to get started here. I'm going to run through the agenda real quick. We're running on a very tight agenda tonight, so every minute's going to matter. We're going to have a welcome by Mayor Governor. We'll talk some about the process. We'll have a city presentation where we will talk about accomplishments. Then we will have a community input process, public comment, and then close. We expect to have you out by 8 o'clock. There you go.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out. This is an opportunity for the public to put their input into the city's budget process. I'm aware that we have certain council members here, so this is an official meeting. Councilmember Herrera, Councilmember De La Rosa, and Councilmember Castaneda are present. So I would like everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance so we can start this meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One of the things that Mr. Peterson's going to talk about is being respectful of everyone that's talking tonight and being given an opportunity. So if you'll sit at the tables and follow the process, your input is very important to the city council. So we appreciate you all being here, and I think this is a golden opportunity. We're going to turn it back over to Mr. Peterson that's going to lead us through the process. Mr. Peterson.
All right, thank you. So we are trying to get our translation equipment set up. We're having apparently some difficult. So if you see Kristen, so habla español, Kristen, raise your hand. Kristen, raise your hand. See Kristen, she will get you set up the translation. Okay. So the goal of tonight's meeting is to include community members' thoughts and ideas to a transparent budget process. We're asking you here tonight to give us input on our budget. There are 2 meetings for this process. Tonight is the first meeting where we will tell you what we've accomplished, get your input, hear from you what it is you think about what we need to do, what we've done, and give us information. We will then come back on the 28th at a meeting in Sherwood Hall where we will share information with you. We also have a survey that's online and a survey that's in the back of the room that you can all fill out. And all of that will provide input into this process.
Hey, were you out this morning?
Buenas noches. Necesito saber cuántas personas de aquí necesitan traducción al español. Por favor, si levanten la mano bien alto para poderlo hacer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ¿Sabe lo que pasa? Es que la ciudad compró aparatos nuevecitos y modernos, pero nadie de aquí de los Estados Unidos sabemos cómo usarlos. Son tan nuevos, tan modernos que no sabemos cómo usarlos. Así que tal vez nos podamos sentar en una mesa y entonces ustedes interpretan ahí en la mesa. ¿Sí? ¿Está bien?
Gracias. The meeting on the 28th will be at Sherwood Hall at 6:30 in the evening. Okay, so survey is available in the back in hard copy. You can fill that out and drop it at the table in the back. So the outcomes, what we're trying to do here is provide you information on what we have done. We're gathering your thoughts and inputs on the budget process. If there's any single thing I want you to understand tonight is that we are here to collect your thoughts on our budget and the work that we have done. We want to identify areas where we can make high-impact improvements. We want to define actions that will improve the quality of life in the city and discover new ways of communicating and gathering information. Before I get to that, up on the side walls, we've got 4 locations, our ground rules. And these ground rules ask that when we speak to each other tonight, when we work together, that we be respectful, that each of us should try and listen more than we talk, and seek to understand, listen for understanding, to hear what others are trying to communicate, and understand that every idea that we have tonight counts. All ideas matter. So here's a process map for the budget. It started with the council's approval of strategic goals. We met in February with the council to identify a set of strategic goals. And then those moved to the budget. We took those online with community input from you, which is where we are tonight, which is right here. And we'll bring them back to the departments, and we'll come back to you on the 28th, let you know how our thinking has changed, and then the city manager approves our budget, and then it goes to the council for final approval. That's the budget process that we're in right now, and right down here at the bottom is progress. Now we're going to talk to you about our accomplishments. We will begin with our city manager, Ray Corbus, and then each department head will give you a couple minutes about their department.
Good evening. Buenas noches. So, as Gary said, the council has a strategic plan. They updated that strategic plan, and it's a strategic plan that encompasses 3 years. So there are 5 major goals, and there are about 26 initiatives. And we accomplished a lot of those initiatives, but some of those initiatives are ongoing. So I'll cover that briefly. And following me will be the department directors that will give you a little bit, a brief overview of what they're doing and what they've accomplished. So, the first goal, economic diversity and prosperity. Some of you participated in the economic development element. We need to finish that. The council, we have to get it ready for the council. So, environmental impact report has to be done. And finally, it will be adopted and ready for the council to add to the general land use plan. And what that does is basically give a different lens to the growth and vitality of our city. It will set some policies up on how we use different parts of the city's land. The Alsal Vibrancy Plan is a new initiative that came out of the economic development element. We expect to start that in the next couple of months. We're finalizing the scope of work. That will be an economic growth and a quality of life plan for the Alsal, long overdue. The rest of the initiatives really are continuations of efforts we've made over the last few years. So as you know, we think the future for Salinas, because we're ag-based, agriculture-based, is in the technology and innovations that will come in the agriculture industry. And that's where the new jobs, the new investments are going to be. We're working on that. The Alsal Marketplace, we're working on that. As you know, we're putting in a new community safety building that is a new police station at 312 Alsal. We now have control of the site. We traded properties with the county, and that design should start in the next 3 months. Now selecting the developer, the contractor, and the architect for that project. That's pretty close to a $50 million project. The Chinatown revitalization is something that's been a high priority for this council for many years. And so right now we're working with the Haciendas 3, the senior affordable housing, 41 units are now being built. The council has approved an additional 50 units of affordable family housing. And the developer of the Housing Authority of Monterey County is seeking tax credits now to be sure that that project will go forward. So Gary, I'm getting some feedback. Future growth area is in the northern part of the city, and it includes about 2,400 acres and 11,000 homes that will be built over several years. The west end is the most active, and they're now working on a specific plan and the environmental impact. And in the meantime, we're working with them on a development agreement that will spell out parks, libraries, fire stations, and other public amenities. The enhanced permit center operations, that's something we invested a lot of money in. That's where all the permits and building inspections and entitlements are happening. That's sort of the front door for the city and making sure that growth is orderly and that growth can occur according to the general land use plan and the zoning plan. Safe, livable communities, as you know, Measure G, we were able to add about 37 sworn officer positions. We're trying to fill those. And one of the biggest challenges we have is to find recruits and hire them and also retain our current set of officers. It's a very competitive business and one where you really have to be a special person, I think, to be a police officer. There's a lot of demands on police officers, and we're doing the best we can to really fill those positions. We're also working again with and strengthening our partnerships with the state and federal government, because we can't do this alone. We have to have partners. We're updating the technology in public safety, both in the fire department and the police department. So things like cameras, body cameras, new technology in terms of reporting systems will help with both fire and police. And then we also are planning to, the chief and the police department are planning a new report on actual community policing plan. This has been requested by the council, and I know we had a successful demonstration with the HEP run, place-bound officers that work with that neighborhood. So we know it can work. And then we want to improve the overall code enforcement of the city. This has been a continuing high priority issue, and now we're almost fully staffed there. We almost doubled the number of code enforcement officers in the city. Some things we're trying to accomplish with efficient, effective, sustainable government. One, we're going to be looking at all 11 committees of the council. Those include the 11 that are community-based, that have community citizens as part of their duties. That include Planning Commission, Airport Commission, Youth Commission, Library, Community Service Commissions, the Traffic Commission. So there's a number of those. We want to be sure, the council wants to be sure those commissions work effectively, and that there's transparency, accountability, and access by citizens, that there's full participation. Then we want to look at how we use consultants. We do spend a lot of money on consultants for various reasons, and the council's asked us to make sure that we're doing that with good cost benefit, and that we're doing that as efficiently as possible. And then we're going to continue our big push to make sure that we have dialogue with the citizens, and that's what tonight's about. So more engagement, we're changing our website so it's a little more user-friendly. We have some social media efforts that we're making, and we're going to be out in the community a lot more than we have been. So one of the things that came up in the Measure G consideration was planned infrastructure improvements. So sidewalks are very important, and we'll be rolling out now in the next couple of weeks, right, Mr. Peterson? And also roads as well. So we're going to spend about $1.2 billion in the next several months on improvements in the city, in roads, and the sidewalks. Housing element's done, but now we have to implement that. That was finally approved by the state. The Laurel Extension sidewalk's important. We're now in the design phase. It's probably a $7 million project. So once we get it designed, we can apply for grants and other funding sources. The deep water desalination is a project that has both a water component to purchase water, also a municipal power authority possibility for the city, and a dark fiber. The dark fiber project would provide and expand the bandwidth of fiber and data to the community. So we're going to focus on the business sector first, but that'll be very important in terms of the overall economic vitality of the city. We're going to take a major undertaking the next several years, improving and updating the general plan. The general plan hasn't been updated for 13 years, almost 14 years. It needs to be updated. The public will be part of that process. In quality of life, the council wants us to take a good look at Carr Lake, see what the possibilities are there. That's come up in our economic development element discussions, and many of you expressed an interest in making sure that maybe there's a possibility of that being a public asset in some way that could be passive, active, recreational, and also do some things about improving the environment. We're going to be conducting a needs assessment both on open space, all our parks, and recreation areas, as well as community and recreation centers. So we're now looking at a scope, and we'll be out with a request for proposal, because we'll need some help in making that happen. Again, that'll be a major community effort. We'll be asking citizens like yourself to be involved with that. Tell us what you want, what improvements you would like to make in our parks and our recreation and community centers. And then we're going to continue to work with the county and other private nonprofit, other social service providers, the state and others to continue to work on the homelessness issue. It's very important. Some of you who are at the council meeting knows that we have spent about $1.4 million to help address some of the issues over the last 2 years. And Tuesday night, the council approved part of the block grant, another $1.9 million, most of it going to affordable housing and services for the homeless. So that's a rundown quickly of the overview of what the council wants us to work on. This is in addition to the basic services we provide as a city. So I think Kelly, Jim,
thank you, Ray. Gary and Ray asked that I be the example for this slide, so here goes 30 seconds. I represent the administration department in the city, and we do a lot of things, including what you see on the screen, manage the council in the Measure B and the Measure G agenda processes. We recently have assisted in putting 2 ballot measures on the 2016 election. We also do the records retention policy. Some of you have requested public records requests. We engage in that. We also do the discounts for senior discounts for the Republic Services and the utility users tax exemption. The administration also has a human resources division function. We've completed 122 recruitments over the last year with over 2,500 applications, and we've hired 110 regular and part-time staff members. We work with the Affordable Care Act and our employees. We also have the benefit of having the Community Alliance for Safety and Peace, which is now in its 8th year. We work with 35 different community departments, and they recently received a 3-year, $1.5 million grant. So that's kind of the flavor of what the administration department does. And the next one is the fire department.
Well, welcome everybody. We appreciate everybody's time tonight and taking some time out of your busy evening to be with us. Real briefly, the fire department is our second largest department, part of our public safety, one of the core services that we provide every day. So just some highlights, like the police department, as Jim said, part of those 110 new positions are firefighters and paramedics. We've had 5 different recruitments this past year. We've hired 24 new people. One of the most things we're proud of is the new equipment you probably see driving around town and going to emergencies. We have bought 4 new fire engines, 2 new ladder trucks, an airport crash rescue vehicle, and we have a new hazardous response vehicle currently being built, and it'll be delivered here for our community in October. We still look to grants for a lot of equipment and vehicles that we use. Our hazmat vehicle, the air tanks that firefighters use are called SCBAs. Those are all brand new and 100% grant funded. And all the hazmat equipment, the actual equipment that the firefighters use for chemical spills and big incidents like that, all grant funded. Last year we got a brand new fire engine from the state of California. That's about a $500,000 gift that we received here. We've used it extensively, not only here locally, but it goes around the state for large forest fires and other disasters that you see throughout the year. We're rehabbing all of our 6 fire stations. Some of them are very old, 65, 67 years old, so they need a lot of work, a lot of upgrades. Fueling stations, emergency generators, so that when we have power outages and natural disasters, our fire stations can still be there and provide them. Last year was a record. We had a record number of new equipment, a record number of new personnel, but also a record number of emergency responses in all categories. We had the highest dollar fire loss we've ever had in the City of Salinas. Unfortunately, one of our residents perished in a fire last year. So next year, we're really going to go out to the community and partner with a lot of agencies to really talk about fire safety and why it's important. It's something that really easy to forget, but fire is very dangerous. It's something that our firefighters deal with every day, so we want to make sure that you have that same knowledge that we do. We're implementing some new programs through our budget process here. One of the things I'm most excited about with our city manager is a Youth Explorer program. We want to reach out to our communities and find youth that want a public safety career and give them the training, the skills, and the knowledge, so when they turn 18 years or 21 years of age, they have the skills and the ability to stay here in our community and serve as firefighters or police officers in the future. We're also going to implement some emergency squads, some 2-person squads, to go around town and help us make our response times and get to you faster. In our business, it's seconds. Seconds matter, minutes matter, and that's the most important thing with that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to your police chief, Chief Kelly DeRoe.
All right, thanks, Chief. I'll be as brief as I can, talking about what we were after last year. I think the biggest effect that we've seen throughout the city is we reorganized the entire police department because of our staffing needs in order to provide better police services. We ended up, unfortunately, having to take down a lot of important programs like our community policing program and our school resource officers in order to be able to make it to basic 911 calls. We're rebuilding the police department as fast as we can so that we can bring back those important things like school resource officers, like the Acosta Plaza officer that we have funding for, but we don't have the personnel for. Those are the things that will make deep differences in the problems that we see in Salinas. To that end, last year we were fortunate to hire 19 new police officers. Amazing background. As a matter of fact, we have one of our new police officers is here with us tonight. In the back of the room is an officer named William Dykes. This gentleman, Bill, raise your hand. Wave to everybody. He comes to us with experience in the United States Army, the Los Angeles Police Department, and the United States Border Patrol. He speaks fluent Spanish. He relocated to Salinas. He relocated to Monterey County because of his wife's work, and he decided he wanted to come to work and serve this community, and we need a lot more folks just like Officer Dykes back there. We institutionalized our body-worn cameras for our uniformed patrol personnel. A lot of what the police department does is a matter of public interest. A lot of times what we do ends in controversy. And so no better way to be transparent and clear about what we do than to get a first-person officer's perspective. And so you can see those officers have a little square piece of plastic right here. That's a body-worn camera. They can flip that on and record exactly what they're seeing. It helps us conduct investigations and make sure that we're being transparent and forthright with everyone in the community. Fortunately, with Measure G, the generosity of the community, we were able to bring back our community services unit. We had not even been able to provide neighborhood watch training. We're still struggling a little bit with that, but we have a great core of volunteers, so it doesn't cost. If you have a group of neighbors, you want a neighborhood watch presentation, you can reach out to our community services unit. We'll get volunteers in and start teaching that. And something you're all going to hear a lot more about in the coming months is the Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services Collaborative Reform Initiative report. That report has just come out and it's online on the COPS website. You're welcome to look at that. It takes a very critical look at the police department and points to a lot of things that we need to fix. And so in the coming months, we're going to start rolling out new policies and new procedures that deepen our community engagement and really helps us get more involved in a much more personal way with you, the community we serve. Those are the high points, and I think Megan is next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Hunter. I'm the Director of Community Development. I am going to ask a quick question because there's a lot of reverberation, or, it's hard to hear. So I'm going to talk really loud without the microphone for a minute, and you tell me which is better. Is it better if I talk like this?
With the microphone.
Okay. Sorry about that. This is a hard acoustic area. Anyhow, who knows what community development does? Okay, a few people. So we're a very small department, but we're very mighty. And what we do is we ensure that development, that's building development, or even infrastructure, sewers and such, are built in a way that supports the community and enhances the community, good quality of life. So we help make sure that the city and the neighborhoods are well designed and work right. We look at everything from big city systems like sewers to looking at individual houses and businesses and making sure that they follow building codes. So the functions of our department include permitting services, so that's like building inspections. How many people have applied for a building permit before? Okay, so you have to go to the permit center, so that's where our offices are located. We also do planning. So we work with the community to create plans that lay out in a manner that the community wants. Good neighborhoods, downtown areas, commercial areas, so we work with you to do that. We also do housing. We facilitate housing production. That means we're trying to get more housing units in the city. And a big part of that is making sure that housing is affordable. We manage the city's community development block grants funds. Does anyone know about community development block grants? Raise your hand if you know what that is. Okay, the city gets a little bit of money, about $3 million per year, to invest and help things. We do homeless services, for example. We might do youth programming, like Girls Incorporated. We do housing production. We also help with public infrastructure. So our department gives money to Public Works for building parks and helping improve recreation centers. We also do code enforcement. And the purpose of code enforcement is to create blight-free neighborhoods and communities. So you can also call our department if you see something in the neighborhood that is a problem. So those are the services of our department. Just to go over real quickly, I'm not going to go through all of these accomplishments, but just hit some of the highlighted areas. Our department issued about 5,000 building permits last year. That's quite a lot. been able in this year to preserve or produce 81 units of affordable housing. And then we've been providing small business development funds. We provided about $1 million to 4 businesses to create about 55 jobs. So those are some of the things that we're doing. One of the major things that we're going to be undertaking next year is a community plan for the Alasal. So it's a great opportunity to really focus on East Salinas and come up with a plan for how we can improve and enhance that area. So we're looking forward to more community discussions with you. So thank you.
Good evening, my name is Carrie Ann Siegfried, and I am your new Library and Community Services Director. I've been here for a whole month now, so most of the things I'm going to talk about, I really can't take credit for at all. But these are some of the things that your wonderful library and community services staff have felt that they're especially proud of that have taken place over the last year. On the library side of things, so much of our work is all about bridging the digital divide, and it is all about supporting literacy and quality of life through our high-impact programming. So one of the things that we're really especially excited about, and if you visit our libraries on a regular basis and use our wireless services or our public computers, you may have noticed that sometimes they run a little slow. We were able to leverage some grant funding and some partnerships this last year to be able to implement a new network system where we're really going to be able to increase our bandwidth, and you're going to see huge changes in the next several months in the speed of our computers in all of our libraries. We continue to work very heavily in adult literacy. We do GED classes, we do ESL, we do adult basic education, we do early literacy classes. We help teach parents that the power of early literacy and making sure that your kids are successful in school. And to that end, we also put on every year a great summer reading program, which the purpose is, yes, to have fun, but it's also really to keep kids reading throughout the summer and prevent summer slide that puts them behind in school that next year. We've been lucky to be able to expand some of our programming this last year. We've expanded our services to the homebound. We're implementing some new health services programs to connect our library users to health insurance and health services. And we've really expanded our programming for kids. And we now have programming pretty much 7 days a week in our libraries. And last but not least, one of the really kind of fun things that you might not expect libraries to be doing, if you're wandering around out there and you see an ice cream cart that isn't really an ice cream cart, it's our Palatero cart program. So instead of ice cream, we're delivering mobile Wi-Fi, we're delivering books, we're handing out library cards, and so we're really out there outside the library and in the neighborhood. And now on the recreation side of things, we have really been working this last year on building capacity. As in many of the department heads mentioned, when services were cut in the last several years, we're now in the process of being able to build those back. So on the recreation side of things, we have finished the hiring process for 5 new positions, so we're really going to be able to look at implementing a lot more high-quality programming in our recreation centers. We are in the process of hiring a neighborhood services coordinator who is going to be out there connecting with our neighborhood groups, and we look forward to having her get to know all of you and work closely with all of you. You may have heard that the old municipal pool site is going and that is going to be a great new space where residents of all ages are going to be able to participate in recreation activities. That'll be coming online early in next year. So all in all, on the recreation side, we've accomplished a lot. We've had 200,000 visits to rec centers. We've had 3,500 youth sports participants. We've had 490 kids participate in our Saturday night teen programs, and we've been out there conducting 7 community cleanups. So it's been a busy year, and we look forward to continuing to expand our library and recreation center programming next year.
Thank you. Carrie Ann's new, so she got 2 slides. Let's go. So Gary Peterson, Director of Public Works. Real briefly, reorganization of the department to increase the ability to get projects out the door. We completed Davis Road wastewater pipeline. It's an $8 million project. LV Drive extension. We're working on that, getting the freeway straightened out around Sanborn Road. Design of the Laurel Street extension, which Ray mentioned, we think is going to be a very big project for us. We're seeking funding for that. We constructed the Alicel roundabout right down the street here, which I think was a really great project for everyone. We invested, we continue to invest in parks. We're under construction in El Dorado Park right now, just another project for El Dorado Park. We've been in Cesar Chavez Park. We've been in Gloucester Park. Continue to find what we can to invest in our parks. We continue to address homelessness out of the Public Works Department in a number of ways. And then job order contracting, which is our new way of taking money and putting it to work for sidewalks and streets, is rolling out the door. It'll start next month. We'll be able to move through our long backlog of streets and sidewalk repairs rather quickly. It's probably the thing I hear most about, but we'll be able to do that because of the generosity of you, the citizens of Salinas and Measure. So that's the first part of the meeting. Second part,
600,000.
public input. So everybody in the back that's got, could you stand? Everybody in the back, in the chairs. Everybody in the chairs stand. Everybody in the chairs stand. Now, if you can safely take your chair and move it and sit on the other side of one of the tables up here in front. This is how we're going to run the input process. So just pick up your chairs, come on up. We'll find places for you.
Vamos a, por favor.
You get to meet your neighbors. Come on, come forward. That's work to do. Meet your neighbors. Come on, all the way up here in the front. We've got lots of room. Want to get everybody at tables. Everybody at tables. That's good. That's good. Okay.
Sí, por favor, las personas que hablan español, nos vamos a reunir aquí en la mesa que está aquí al fondo. Trae su silla, por favor.
All right, great. Thank you. So at your table are paper and pens. We're going to ask you to answer a series of questions. What's important for us, yes, introduce yourselves at the table. Everybody say hello to your neighbors. Everybody say hello. That's good. There's one. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. First question. This is how we would like this to proceed. Remember the ground rules about the walls, about being respectful, about listening, seeking to understand, and all ideas matter. I would like you to have a conversation in the next 10 minutes and produce a bullet list, like 5 or 6 points, that answer the question about what it is you most love about our city, what are the great things that we need to keep doing, and that will cause you to care even more about Salinas.
proximity to recreation centers and the beach. We love the parks, and we love our library, and we love City.
Thank you. Thank you. One more? Somebody else? Right here. We'll get you next time. Right here.
Okay, so what we thought we love for Salinas is the weather, the diversity that there is here, the agricultural work for families that are in that field.
Thank you. So, if each of you would, one of you take your seat right over there to the wall, we're gonna, one person, we're gonna hang them up over there to create a gallery, and we're gonna get ready to move on. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And we also love the people, the history of Salinas, and the development of parks plus other community-related projects. And then for the second part, we feel as if more money needs to be put into the arts, into more education programs. There needs to be secure low-income housing, getting the youth more involved, cyclovia being twice a year, and city officials being more engaged with the community.
Alright, so if you would, one from each table, take your sheet over there and hang it on the wall. Al will demonstrate how this is done. Thank you, Al. Alright, we're gonna go to the second question. The second question. In terms of improving the city of Salinas, what is it you would most want to change? What would those changes look like? And please be specific.
Okay.
So again, about five minutes or so on this. What is it we should change? At the back, Kristen, we're going to share out of the back.
Yeah, she went to, and my wife went over there, but
I think we are.
Debbie shipped into the fucking city.
Yeah, you come back. Anybody else like to share? Right over here. Who's speaking?
In order to have a more safer community, we're thinking about ways to reconnect police officers with the community so that they can feel that they can talk to one another. And then we're also talking about in order to have kids more connected with their education, we can have resources for parents to get involved with their children. And then to have more community green space so people can go out and have things to do.
We wanted more student involvement where teachers build relationships with their students through culture. The second part is community relations with police, not community policing, where the community becomes the first responders. So that when incidents happen, that the community that they know are the ones that are able to de-escalate, and that we create that community engagement through relationship. And on the east side, not dealing with police, dealing with crisis and incident, but being able to be the resource that they can count on to give direction, mediation, and resolution in the way that is with the culture of the people, because when they deal with the culture of the East Salinas, it deals with the collective, not an individual. So knowing that culture, that's what that we would like to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, in the back. thank you. All right. Well, you want to go again?
Someone else. So ours is a pretty long list. I'm just going to go through all of them fairly quickly. So the first one that we have is that we feel as city leaders, they need to learn how to communicate with the whole community, not just sections of the community. The second one that we have is that we need the officials to be more efficient. And one of those being managing the budget appropriately, which is why we're here today. Another one being unifying the city, the leaders working together, not pitting against each other because then nothing gets resolved like that. Expanding safe spaces for people to come together, which was heard in another list. And I think this is one of the biggest ones. Installing cameras in high crime areas such as Eccleston Plaza, Gardner Avenue, Riker Avenue. It's already been done in Chinatown. We can do it anywhere else in the city. Another one, accountability for officer-involved incidents in 2014. More art, more murals, officers going out plus being with the youth, and the community not being afraid.
So all of you with paper over here, so, you know, we're going to hang it right where Al is demonstrating once again. We've got another round of, where are we going? Which side are we going on? Over here? Which way? Here or there? Either way.
That side.
I'm confused. Let's see Vivian right there. She'll hang it. Put him over there. We'll get this taken care of. All right, next question. So, we want to get very specific here about changes. We want to look at the top 3 to 5 actions. What actions can we take if we are to have the healthy, safe, and exciting city that we all want? What actions, 3 to 5 actions, what actions will give us the city that we want? All right? Go for it.
really pushing our local businesses to provide living wages, because we have a high level of poverty in our community, and it's important that we push our local businesses to provide a livable wage. And then finally, rent control. Rent has been skyrocketing in California, but here especially we've seen a dramatic increase in the cost of rent. And so we need affordable, dignified living conditions.
So the first one that we have is employment opportunities. We feel like if people have jobs, then they will be more involved in the community. The second one is committee on racial equity and unity, because some people feel like there's a gap between the unity between Hispanics and Anglo-Americans or even African Americans. So maybe a committee to bring everybody together to promote diversity within Salinas. The third one is walkability and Parks and Rec. So basically improving the infrastructure of Salinas to promote healthy living, and people can just walk down the street, kids can feel safe within their neighborhoods. The fourth one is opportunity for youth and restorative justice. So we want to gear away from zero tolerance policies within schools and focus more on helping the children rather than quick and harsh punishments. And the last one is dealing with the homeless humanely. The homeless have been viewed as that they're not good people and they are not treated as people. However, they should be.
We decided for our community events such as Segovia, having centralized locations that distribute healthy, affordable, organic food, such as gardens around the city, utilize vacant buildings as art studios and resource centers.
Okay, this group would like to suggest that there be more physical recreation center for families, including adults or senior citizens, and that the center be affordable. More lighting, bike lanes and crosswalks, funding for mental health positions, another doctor for medical card holders, and bilingual mental health providers. Affordable housing is the #1 top priority.
Thank you. Thank you, President. All right. We have one more.
5 actions. 1, train police officers extensively on how to help people with mental illnesses. 2, working collaboratively as one community with the process that respects the input of local budget resources. And 3, living wages and affordable housing. 4, more community forums and open dialogue, diversity. Number 5, instead of punishing youth, create more resources and help families.
Okay, so make sure your paper gets over here so that it can get posted. So a couple of things. First of all, thank you all very, very much. This is just a wonderful amount of information. On the 28th, again, we will be in Sherwood Hall. We will digest this information. We also have surveys. There's still surveys on the back. You can go on the city webpage. We have surveys in English and Espanol. That data will also feed into the process. We'll come back and talk to you about what we have heard and what we are thinking about doing with that. So now we're going to open this up to public comment. We have about 10 minutes left. even short in understanding that many people have things to say. So if you would like a chance in the microphone, if you would raise your hand, we'll bring you a microphone.
Well, I already wrote this down there, but I just think that you guys really need to take into account city officials and everyone here. Thank you for coming as well. That we really do need to put cameras in the high crime areas, because if not, it's just going to keep on happening. I'm saying the truth right here. People are afraid. I wasn't there, but I was there to help out yesterday when the shooting occurred, and people are afraid. They don't want retaliation. People are going to come after them. So that's what we need to do, place cameras, and place cameras in those apartment complexes. That shouldn't be difficult. The parking structures right there. Let's make this place better and safer, because I'm sure that's what everyone here wants. Thank you.
In dealing with the process, if we can have a community as first responders, we're the ones that can de-escalate. From 2014 to now, if we have a separation in the gap, then the very residents that we need to talk to, city councils to make decisions on budget, but the relationship that we have matters. So having the ability to sit down with Visioning Salinas and expressing the impact that she said, then we can act not as a neighborhood watch, but as a community as we are. Dealing with the Mexican collective, Law and Catch, you are the better part of me. So in breaking the silence, it's not what I say, but how I do things. So what we can do from tonight on is to begin to get to know our neighbor, not to act as strangers. So tonight, what we can do, I invite you, like I invited Mr. Taylor, is to get up early in the morning and walk with your neighbor. And leaders don't have titles, leaders have hearts. So I would like to challenge you, because you've seen us from the time the shootings happened on, to cry out. And now with community engagement, we can do community relations instead of community policing. And for the first time, like you said, the general plan is a long time, but with the hearts and the ideas of the people to put resources, and the greatest thing is to give spaces like this to do things as a collective, not individual. That's the culture of Salinas. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amit Pandya. I must commend the city and the leadership. Running a city is a big job. $180+ million, how to allocate, what to prioritize now. But I have a simple question. 2 years ago, we passed a special sales tax, general sales tax, that was supposed to take care of our crime problems, sidewalk problems, and a whole bunch of ailments in the city. It is now 2 years later. We have less cops than we did 2 years ago. We have the record high murder rate. 4 shootings in the last 2 days, 2 deaths, 2 fills alive. Is there anything city is focusing on to deliver on the promises they made to the residents of Salinas when they pass a sales tax? Is the city currently developing a financial plan or any other kind of plan that will indeed bring community policing, after-school programs, and take care of this crime problem in the city at all? I see no answers.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm happy to see such a large group here, and thank you to the city for coming out and doing this with the community. I was wondering, when it comes to the budget that was presented, whether or not it was reflected in some of the recommendations that were made by the Department of Justice, and the recommendations, I take it was right. And so there's going to be a period of time, 18 months, for implementation. And first of all, I want to thank the city because I know it was a grueling process that they had to go through in meeting with the Department of Justice, and definitely thank the Department of Justice for hearing our cry and coming out to Salinas, and so we're having these gatherings. I think it's very important that some of the things that we look at, and one, youth in this city, how we deal with the youth, especially youth of color, and the hiring, which is one of the findings of the report, that our police department needs to be more reflective of the community which it serves, and more understanding of that community. So not just about hiring of those numbers, but important that you have people that are bilingual serving those communities. One of the things that I found troubling when I look at the report and when I look at how police are dispatched into the area is saying that the union, and hey, I love unions, but the say that the union has within the police department on seniority on how people are assigned in the community. So the more seniority you have, the more you have a voice on where you want to work and where you don't want to work. And having served on a school board, many times when you do hire some of the new people that come in, they tend to go to troubled areas. Not always, but I sort of got that impression that sometimes our police department is getting the newbies are going out to a little bit harder to police areas. And I think that this can be a problem. And so I want to bring that to everybody's attention. I also want to bring to the attention one of the other findings, which was the use of lethal force, and how the use of lethal force is written in such a way that it basically excuses just about anything, because it's not written in a way that really sort of let me backtrack on that and put it this way, that one of the main changes, and I think it's important to say it here, that I would like to see on this is when it comes to investigating anything having to do with the police department or officer-involved shootings or problems with the police department, that one of the recommendations is that they make change that actually can hold officers accountable for what's happening out there, as opposed to the way it exists now, which is written in such a way there is no avenue for holding people accountable. And I think that's very important, because that is what has caused so much animosity in our community, is when the public feels that the police department is not being held accountable. And I just think it's very important to say that in an open forum, because I think that we all need to be putting our voices into this, and our police department, needs to be aware that some of these changes, when you implement them, we would go so far towards that. Anyway, thank you.
I want to piggyback on what she said, but on the other side, it's easy for us to point out police officers' fault, and we don't notice that they're asking for our help. And like Elizabeth said, we don't go to them. We're afraid to go to them because of retaliations, but because parents are not educated as to the process of it, how we are protected if we do decide to do witness, if we do decide to help the police. We just need to have parents, especially in the agriculture area in the east side where most of this happens, we're not educated on the process. And police brutality and police force, if someone is going to be arrested and they cooperate, there's no need for it. It's not that they're pushing and shoving because they can. It's just because they're not cooperating. I'm not justifying the police force in any way, but if we would help them a little bit more, I think they would help us a little bit more as well. I think it's a give and take type of thing, but because as a community we are afraid to speak up, it's kind of hard for them to help us. And I think we need to stop being afraid to speak up. That's when it stops. We need to be afraid to speak up. I think it's that.
Hello everyone. I never pictured myself in these type of forums, meetings. I live in
the east side of Salinas for over 40 years. I'm not going anywhere. My biggest concern right now is the amount of homicides that are occurring citywide, but in particular east side. I have 3 kids, which I'm really concerned about because they're in that critical age where they're killing each other. So that's why I'm here. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me. And one of the other reasons I'm here is because I was kind of offended at the mayor's comments yesterday, where he's quoted as saying, quote, I think it's time the community got angry, got fed up with this stuff, end of quote. I'm angry, that's why I'm here. And I hope that's the reason why some of you guys are here too. But in particular, I got a little offended over your second comment where it says, quote, I'm a little tired of the story, oh, we're afraid. Get tired of being afraid, take your community back, and stop acting like they run this community. Second term. One, I don't think the community on the east side is afraid. What they're doing is they're showing restraint. You don't want them to take matters into their own hands. What they want is, they want the city leadership, police department, which I give them kudos, they're doing the best they can under the circumstances and budget, mind you. But I believe your comments yesterday just created a bigger wedge between the city government and the community on the east side. And what I have one request for you, I believe you owe the east side community an apology.
It is now 8 o'clock, and we'll call in the meeting. I honor that commitment to you when we got here. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you. What I would encourage you to do is to read the walls, read the amount of information and wisdom that is put forth by our